Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats, talking everything to make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. All right, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Surprise, brought to you by the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we continue with our sixth movie. We are hitting the halfway point in Season 1 of Cinema Surprise. And it was my choice. I went with one I'd never seen before, and boy, am I glad I did. Today we are discussing Cure. It was released on November 6, 1997, and it was written and directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. I'm Colton Robertson, and I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And like I said, I am so thankful I went with one I'd never watched before. Because I now have a new one of my favorites of all time. This is the official point. I've been saying, my Letterboxd list is almost my favorite movies ever. It's like basically 300. This was movie number 300 on the favorite movies ever list. So here we are. I officially know that it is 300.
Okay.
But it was an instant one for me. I watched it. I mean, from like 11:30 to 1:30, so I was really, really in the perfect time of night for it. And man, I'm so thankful that I decided that this was the movie I was going to go with. How are you feeling?
Well, as far as just psychological thriller and like this, it joins the caliber of like Jordan Peele and like my favorite just horror. Or like kind of this vein of movies. Like it's done well, and like the story is, I think, just really, really cool. And I think the ending is like really what kind of, I don't know. It just throws a curveball kind of right at the end, and you're kind of led to be like, like man, look at this ending we're getting. It's like no, he's uncorruptible, and he's taking him out, even though it's. Bang, bang, bang. It's like, you're still killing a guy, and it's whatever. But this dude probably,
Yeah, if there's anybody to kill, you kill Mamiya.
This dude's deserving it. But yeah, it feels good. And it's like, evil has been triumphed. It feels good. And then.
And there's still, but the music isn't there.
Yeah.
And, we get to the flash of, like, the nurse walking down the hall, and she sees someone with an X in her throat after. And you're like, okay. And then you get that very last little moment, and man, yeah, like, and I'm not usually a big fan of movies that are like so grim and evil wins, and there's little good to glean from it, if any at all. As far as like positivity, it all feels extremely grim. But it was so well done. Like, this was, when it came to, like, photography, I was blown away by how good looking this movie was. I loved the long, slow, cold, dispassionate takes. The camera managed to be active without being quick. It was just like, it's slow and it's panning and it's moving, but it gives you this creeping sensation. This like there's something brimming just below the surface of this movie, and I think that comes through in the sound. That there's like a constant kind of reverberating. That's very Lynchian. He loves this industrial hum. That's just it. All of it lends itself to something almost clawing to get out, like it's brimming below the surface. And I watched this 3 times, and I love every single time. I have what my gut takes me to like what a lot of it means. But every single time I watched the movie, I went, oh, I could see why anybody would think otherwise. Like, it's so open and so up for interpretation while still being so solid and airtight and written concisely and poignantly that I'm like, I don't know how you pull something off where, like, the interpretive side of it can be so vast while still being so tightly written. And I appreciate that greatly.
I think leaving things up to mystery, you know, there are certain things that need to be explained for the story to progress, and you know, as stories do, but just leaving some things up to mystery and letting the audience figure it out. I think that's like, it was, I don't know if it was in a Black Mirror episode or what. Maybe it was the one where the horror game was in your brain and it knew what you were afraid of, so it scared you even more, sort of thing. But I think someone in that episode said, like, gave the analogy of if there's a big monster that enters the screen and it's a jump scare, it's scary for that one moment, and, like, you know, you do get that burst of fear. But if there's a closed door and you hear growling or scratching on the other side, or you don't know what's on the other side, your imagination is often more fearful than reality. Like,
Actually, I'm pretty sure Jordan Peele said that.
Was it that? Okay, so it might have, maybe it was him.
I mean,
Okay.
like, that's not a new idea or anything, but
Yeah.
I feel like I remember
probably where I
relatively
would've heard it.
recently.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, I'm assuming that's where because I can't remember what he was talking about, but regardless, like, I think it was in a conversation where that one guy stood up and told him that he was like the greatest horror director of all time, and he was like, not when John Carpenter exists or something like that, and he went on a whole thing about what made him great, but. No, like, that was something. I'm not a big horror guy, and I wouldn't say this is strictly a horror movie. I think there are horror elements. I think that's, you can say that, but it's not stereotypical horror. But those are often
the best ones. It's
yes,
like,
this made my skin crawl. Like, one of my absolute favorite moments in the movie, because it was something that when I was a little kid, it would freak me the fuck out. And I loved it watching it in the context of a movie. And it's my favorite scene. It's the scene where Takabe, played wonderful by Koji Yakusho. Absolutely love him. He was also the lead in Perfect Days last year, which I also fucking love.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yes.
Okay. I've been meaning to get to that one. So
I love that movie.
That's really
and
cool.
I
There's some
was
connection
thinking
there.
about it. It was going to be one of my 20s movies, but then I went with this, so I decided to steer clear of the Koji Yakusho from here on out. But, I mean, unless he happens to pop up in something. But regardless, it's the scene when Takabe goes to visit Mamiya after he's had the vision. He's seen... he sees the dead monkey. He sees a vision of his wife. And there are these, like, flashes. And he's like, I need to go check on my wife. I need to go make sure she's alive. And he goes, and he sees her hanging from the ceiling. And he falls to his knees. And he's devastated. And pretty much the scene that earns him the performance nod for me. That cinches it, I should say. He's already fucking incredible. But that's, like, when you're like, oh... There's a whole range to this guy that this character doesn't allow him to access, and here it is. But then it flashes away, and his wife is seemingly alive, maybe. And so he goes to Mamiya after that and is like, yeah, so what the fuck? Yeah. He's like, what the fuck was that? And Mamiya's like, he says, you saw your dead wife, didn't you? And he's like, how could you possibly know that? What's going on here, et cetera, et cetera. But I love the back and forths between Mamiya and Takabe. I love the way Mamiya is trying to pry him. He's trying to access him, and it's exciting for Mamiya. It's the only thing that's exciting for Mamiya, because Takabe is the only one who is impenetrable. He's the only one he can't get to. But Takabe can't help but let himself experience what this is.
Yeah. So
he's trying to know what he's dealing with, but it's a dangerous game he's playing. So whenever he sits there and he's like, what, you can't talk without your lighter? And he flicks the lighter on and he sets it right there. I've got chills talking about it. I've got chills every time I've talked about it the last couple of days. When he's looking at Mamiya and the camera just sits there and it gets darker.
Yeah.
just on him. I don't know if you ever did this when you were a child, but when you would or just in general, you could still do this probably, but I just remember doing it as a child, sitting in a dark room and not blinking for a while and staring in a corner, and the corner got darker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That used to scare the shit out of me. So it scratched an itch for me that made me nostalgic, but nostalgically scared. I'm not scared of that anymore. I know what it is. I know that if I blink, it's fine, but in the context of a movie where I can't blink and it's fine, it's really cool. And then they cut to the shot of the ceiling rippling, bubbling below the surface again, and it's breaking through. And that always feels like the idea of this movie is that something is lingering and it needs to get through, and it comes down, it hits the fire, and I'm of the mind that's when Takabe's hypnotized.
Yeah. Either really lucky coincidence that it rained and the water's dropping, or he's already hypnotized at this point. I was and because he has seen his wife dead, so I feel like there's some maybe it's part of the activation there seems to be some formula, that they're following it, or some process that is, it's only been known by Mesmer, or I don't know, someone. But
Mesmer, and then some other guy that took over in Japan that studied this and was it was a cult or something, and then somehow it ended up with Mamiya here. But
yeah, I guess maybe it seems that it's one person, though, that it's kind of like a gift of some sort, but it seems that anyone can kind of get there, and maybe it takes a person like Takabe, a detective who isn't invulnerable at first, and they don't think they can be broken down, but then their obsession of it is what causes their downfall. I don't know.
Well, I really love the ideas of what they get at with the who are you, the first guy who we actually watched the process on, the elementary school teacher. Brilliant scene again.
Damn.
Super long take where they sit there and they talk, and he kind of is the water. Before he does the fire thing, he moves around the room. And
Spills
he's
the
trying.
Oranges, or
Yep, he's
lemons,
tracking. He wants him to be locked in. What he is doing, you are listening to me. There is nothing else you're focused on. And then he flicks the lighter. But what we watched during that scene, the gentleman goes, "I'm an elementary school teacher and I live with my wife. That's all." With the policeman, it's who are you? I'm a policeman. Who are you? When they're sitting there at the in the cop meeting, Mamiya, he's well, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's blank of headquarters. And he goes, "No, but who are you?" And he goes, "Blank of headquarters. What do you mean?" And he goes, "Okay, blank of headquarters.
Yeah.
Who are you?" And he's like, "What do you mean by that?" And I love that in that scene, he looks at Takabe and is like, "Can you hear my voice?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's because you're the only one who knows what I'm saying, And I like the idea that there's something almost not revolutionary, but anarchist about Mamiya. He's trying to make a point about how your identity cannot be tied to material. It has to be immaterial. If any of these people had been well, I love to do this, and this is what I'm very outgoing, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I love being this way. If they just went on and on about how much they love life, or how much they hate life, or how if they hadn't just been this is my job, and I live with this person, and that's my life, and it kind of makes Takabe the perfect prey, because all he is a detective, and all he is a husband. But he's failing at both. And I think that makes him kind of the perfect vessel for what he's looking for. He's nothing.
Says. Yeah.
He's a void. And I think that they, whenever he says, everything that was inside me is now outside, and it means I can see inside you now. I think he dead ass means that. That's why I don't think I think the whole, I don't remember anything.
It's just,
it's just an act, but I don't think there's anything to remember.
Oh, that's truly how he lives. That like
that is
his
just
self
who he
is nothing. Like he is
Yes.
like no one. Like he's a
Mhm.
oh
Yes.
wow, okay.
That's how I look at him. And I mean,
Yeah.
like now I've watched it 3 times and I've had a lot of time to think on.
Okay.
And that's why this movie is so fucking fascinating and mesmerizing. I hate to use that word in the context
Wow.
here, but like
It's the origin. It's pretty cool.
it is. It's very cool.
And I guess the movie didn't actually create that scientist, it's like that's just they used
No, that's a real
the
guy.
dude's name, and like I don't know, it was just kind of cool to think about also that hypnotism is like there's some
Real
stuff
shit.
people that do it on stage and whatever, and it could be fake, but like there's some like some real shit
science there,
that goes
yeah.
down, and it's just kind of crazy that like to think, at least with this movie, they kind of make it as like your morals are set no matter who you are, and hypnosis can't like make you do something you wouldn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that there are people that commit murder that you would think would never do it, but like there are some conversations that lead you to believe that like this person looks like this on the surface, but like their true intentions or their true like feelings are actually
There's
evil.
a very
And
blatant example of that in this movie. Whenever Takabe goes to the launderer, the dry cleaning, and the guy is standing next to him, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, this is my ticket." And he's like, "Oh, well, we can't find it." And he's like, "Well, it's okay. Would you mind looking for it again?" And he goes back there and he goes, "Motherfucker, these goddamn idiots! They don't know what the fuck they're doing." And he's like mumbling under his breath. And then the guy brings it back out to him, and he goes, "Thank you very much," and he leaves. And he acts all nice to the guy's face, but like brimming under the surface again
Wow.
is just this seething anger, And I think that is the point. Like the point that the movie's trying to make is that Mamiya manages to coax it out of everybody, Like,
yeah. It feels like he's like an anti-hero in a way. Like it's like he's not the one doing it, It's just he's bringing out everyone's true self, which like if he's not there, these people will
they
still
never-
go
I-
on.
they
and,
never-
I don't know.
they never commit murder.
They
I don't
probably
think.
don't slice the carotid arteries in the way they do. That,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen without hypnosis. But like, it is an interesting concept to be like, well, it's kind of like in Moon Knight, judging someone if you know their future is going to be bad. Is that right? To judge, or how do you know? In the first place. But like, judging someone if they're known to commit a crime in the future, to punish them now and get rid of them. It kind of feels like that Mamiya would like he'd be chill with that. Like that's like what he's doing kind of is he's judging everyone by hypnosis, but it never seems that it goes well though.
And I think that's what's interesting about Mamiya is that I think he's being honest. I don't think there is anybody to know. I don't think like Mamiya doesn't exist anymore in my head. I take him to be almost possessed.
Okay.
I think there is a paranormal occult thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is strictly Mamiya being like, well, this is what I want to commit my life to, and this is what I'm going to do, Like, clearly, he had promise at one point. He went to grad school. This is what he studied. So, he got obsessed with it. He got into it. Kind of the way Takabe is getting obsessed with it and getting into it as well.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense, which is like usually, it'll work for the movie, but then once you start to think about it
parse through it,
outside,
you're
it's
like,
like,
oh, that doesn't make
that
a lot-
falls
yeah.
apart, and it's like, well, at least the movie was good. But this is it's the
tight,
movie's
man.
almost like better to just think about. Like like I don't know, like outside of the movie, it's hypnotized. It is almost hypnotizing.
It's
like
fascinating.
Like
I said, I watched this 3 times in 40 hours, day and a half. I just last night I was looking for something to watch, and I was looking for a movie, and I was like, I don't want to watch any other movie. I didn't turn on Cure, but I turned on like a cartoon. I was like, I'm not watching a movie tonight then. Like, that's kind of how I went about it.
Is this
I was
movie
like,
dangerous?
That's what I was like. And that was what was so, like, the first time I watched it, so fucking, like, whoa about it is because, like, there's so much to be afraid of here, even though within the context of the movie, watching it, it's not like you're like, like you're never like, oh God, oh shit. But it's skin crawly. It makes my hair stand on end. It makes gives me goosebumps,
It's
you know, like it's
icky.
It's
because you can't really place it. Like if you have a movie where there's just a clear ugly monster that's scary and whatever, you're like, oh well, whenever that comes up on screen, I know to be scared and it's expected. But like this unexpected ick or this,
and there's such a to be so cold and stagnant and not really active in your pushing the story forward. Like, they do a lot to push the story forward. I don't want to say that it's like but the movie feels so dispassionate. It feels so cold. You are not moving and moving and moving. It's like you're trying to figure it out, and we figure it out. And it's like, okay. And you figure it out about halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
You know, we have Mamiya in custody halfway through the movie. And that almost makes it scarier because you have half the fucking movie left, and you're like, so
he's comfortable.
One of my and there are some shots that are just like I said earlier, the darkness, the darkening of the screen there. Whenever he's getting through Mamiya's place and he turns into the room where the dead monkey's under the curtain. But when you get in there, it looks like a person standing underneath a curtain, right? Like, am I tripping there? It looks like a human.
Oh yeah, no, it does. No, it.
And I'm fairly certain it was not that before he took the sheet off, right? Like, that was.
It's There's some.
Because they do the same thing in the weird barn abandoned place at the end. Whenever he sees a body behind the curtain and then opens it, it's just a picture.
Yeah, just
and
mesmerizing.
So
it was definitely not just the picture that was there before. You know, like there was something else actually behind there that appeared. Like the face might have been the same, but there was like a body. There was more.
There was a body
than just the head. But yeah, no, it in whatever that building is, you know,
I'm like, I don't even think that it's real.
Like it's like Professor X, and you know, it's like the mental battlefield.
It's a mind palace almost.
Oh fuck, is that where Mesmer? Like, maybe that's the building where it was like first done, and maybe like that's where the video might have been taken.
Yeah,
with
I think that's where the yeah, I mean, because he goes and he finds the phonograph. After he kills, and that's very important because up until that point, I'd never really considered the title. Cure, the healing path, the healing hand. The idea that he is Mamiya's, whatever is inhabiting him. If it is just him, if it's not this obsession, he thinks he's curing. He thinks he's helping. He thinks he's healing because you're being your true self. You're not being phony. You're not being fake. You are being who you are. And I think that's why ultimately I think that after the X, after he shoots him, Takabe walking right over there, sitting down and playing it with no indication that
he does just
walks right over, sits down and plays it. It's not even there was never a reference to it prior to that. It was never like, well, this is important, you'll want to know what it was. He just sits down and listens to it. It is a possession thing. I think that there is
what does
you
it
can't
say?
see, but I'm like,
what's the recording like? Because it was kind of distorted a little bit. Like it was like, and you could tell like a cool technology. Like, holy fuck! Like that's how we recorded shit at the at the beginning. I don't know. I think that's just really cool technology. But like,
it says like healing path, healing hand.
It sounded like sleeper agent wake up. You know, it sounded like to wake up the Winter Soldier.
It sounds like a conjuring, like a spell of some sort. And that's what the Sakuma says. He's like, they used to view it as, you know, they used to call it what was it, soul.
Soul conjuring.
Soul conjuring. That's what it was.
And
so like, that's. I don't know. That's kind of what I take to be happening here. And there's even right before he goes there, he goes to the same restaurant that he's at the end of the movie. But he doesn't eat any of his food. The waitress walks over. She takes a full cup of coffee and a full plate of food.
Mm-hmm.
He ordered all of it but couldn't eat it. And then at the end, he's chowing down. He's smoking. I don't think he smokes once throughout the entire movie until then.
Whoa, that's cool
I'm
too.
Like, I'm like, there's something here to the
Whoa.
idea that's. Yeah, like there's a lot going on here that is a ton of show don't tell, which is impressive considering that there is a fair amount of exposition in this movie. There kind of has to be for it to even get by, but there is still even more of that just communicating stuff through subtlety, and I absolutely adore it. Like what goes back to me lending credence to the idea that Mamiya is, a void. He's nothing. He's nobody. My favorite shot, the one I went with, is when Takabe sees Mamiya for the first time. But he doesn't see Mamiya. He's in a dark room, and he's completely shadowed in a silhouette in a dark room, and you can just see the butt of his cigarette lit. And that's all you can see.
They knew he was in the building, but they had to run around and try to find him.
Find him.
Okay, that's right.
And he tracks him down. He gets into this room and he speaks up to him, and it's just this void of a person. There's no detail you can make out on this guy. It's just a black outline.
From that point,
I'm like,
the cigarette, it flashed it was blinking, or maybe it could have been the first. Get him into that, and then he was talking to him from different directions, and he was going crazy, and then
he couldn't tell where he was. And then, I think I'm of the mind that he is hypnotized when he goes and sits down with him in the room, and the room gets darker and the water drops, because that's,
or maybe it's a process.
Before
maybe
that,
there's it's not 100%.
I think there had to be with Takabe, because I think that there's a lot of signs of him brimming through to the surface. And there's clearly not an instantaneous reaction. Like, the officer he hypnotizes still takes him to the hospital, still goes back to his business and goes about his day. He takes out the trash, and then he pops the dude in the back of the head like it's fucking nothing. Yeah,
what the fuck, dude? It's a perfect crime. You get someone else to do it for you, and you're hypnozing them to forget completely about you. Yeah, that's the...
it's anarchy. It is just, he is... Wow. There's nothing. There's no motivation. There is just, I want to do this. And I hate to always bring it back to this, but and not always bring it back to this, but it feels goofy in the context of this movie. Very Joker, very Joker-esque, chaos. It's just I just want everybody to, be them and do their thing, and nobody gives a fuck,
Just everyone let loose and just
I'm just ahead of the curve,
I guess it didn't really seem like he had a plan. He just, wherever he happened to be, I
don't think he seeked these people out.
Yeah, because the police officer that's questioning him hypnotized them. The doctor, I think the doctor that was my favorite of the people who got hypnotized.
Coolest hypnotization.
I feel like, and that might be my scene. And just because she's I guess she was prying for medical. You need to see a psychiatrist, but she, and then she started to be wait a minute, let me try to figure it out myself a little bit. And then her through those questions, just got her into the whenever he just starts to ask who are you? Or I look
whenever,
just
during that scene, whenever she's you seem calm, and she walks over to the water, and he goes, I love whenever he's off screen and he says something. It's even more disembodied. It's even scarier. It's even because she walks over to the sink and you just hear him. You don't see him, and he goes, "You're the one who's worried." Yeah. And she walks back over, and then she's like,
"Ooh,
wait, what did you mean by that?"
Ooh, man, he's good. Maybe if it's not an act and he truly is that void and he is no one. Or if it is at least it's part of the trick. I think to hypnotize, he has to be nobody, but the attention is always on him. But also not. Like your subconscious attention is on him, but their literal attention is always on something else. It's always on water dripping or like, because he tells the nurse like, no, don't look at me, like look back down to the water. And it's like slowly getting more commanding over time. It's like he's never commanding. He's always like, who are you? And just prying slowly. But then it turns into like, no, do this. And then it's like, then he knows he's like, it is like this slow process.
Oh, dude. And I love, again, there's this ghostly presence about him where the first time we meet him, we're looking at the scenery. We cut to the guy looking that way. We cut back and he's just standing there now.
That shot was so awkward. Like it was.
And he just walks towards the camera, and he's just like, look, and you're like,
and he's like, where, just how he talks to everybody. Like, it's like, huh? What? Where? Like, it's like immediately, like it's forgotten. If it's not about them, if it's not a detail about the person he's talking to, poof, gone. It didn't even matter in the first place. Like, because he's like, I think he's asking for like directions or something. Like, he's like, well, he doesn't even know where he is on the beach, and he's just like, where to? I think is like what he says, and the guy's like, the city name
like,
or something.
Where am I?
Yeah.
And he tells him, and he's like, where's that? He's like,
huh?
Chiba. And he's like, okay. He goes, are you going anywhere? He's like, no.
Yeah, like,
goes,
and then,
do you know who I am?
Yeah. He's like,
no?
huh? And it's like, and then,
and
then he's like, please help me. So like, it feels like a little bit of an act. Like, it just, you're immediately drawn into anybody that is like, huh? You're like, I don't know, you seem like you have to help them, and like it puts the attention on him even more, and like I think it's just part of the act, or it is that he truly is that void, and that is just how he functions. Like, that's
right. No, I mean, like, and that's, I love the way he just kind of voyeurs about. It's similar to the camera, like the camera just kind of floats through. It doesn't really make a lot, like it's not fast. It just is, and during the scene where he hypnotizes the doctor, I adore that they set that up perfectly, by the way. Like the first time they show the doctor with the patient who is just, he's not rude. I mean, he is rude. He's not mean, he's not dismissive, but he is misogynist, like he definitely is. And, he treats her differently because she is a woman doctor. He wouldn't have given a shit if a dude doctor told him to drop trowel and lay down. You're pretty friendly, aren't you? And she doesn't pay any mind.
How does he know that? He can just read people that well, like everything's on the outside of, like, maybe, like, I wonder.
That's what makes me think that there is a generalization to be made there, though. Like misogyny in the workplace. You're a woman doctor. You've faced shit like that. Like the odds are. And then he goes and he sits down with the police officer and his partner is really buttoned up and really straightforward and is like, no, I'm not going to take part in this. They might not butt heads, but they clearly aren't on the same plane, him and the other police officer. So it is kind of like a,
wow. I wonder if they're just educated guesses, or like if there's maybe there's some part of the hypnosis that we don't see where they just drop every detail of their life. It's just like, because he can have anything he wants, and they forget their whole conversations, and it even got the professor or the psychiatrist to start going crazy and made the X on his wall, and like, so no matter who you are, if a psychiatrist who knows who he's dealing with, someone who hypnotizes people and like that's his job, can go crazy too. And like, it's oh man, and like the phonograph and stuff, the timeline like makes sense, like from Mesmer to the mystery guy, whatever the fuck, and then like the phonograph, I feel like that would be like maybe Mesmer, like that's I don't know, like he just sent this, like throughout all time there will be someone carrying on my mission of,
well, and that's what's interesting, is that I don't think I think it's the mystery guy.
Okay.
I think the mystery guy in the middle is the piece that makes it sinister. I think Mesmer is just doing science. He's just studying something. He's like, this is, and then someone not weaponizes it, but utilizes it in a way that's darker. And then I think that is kind of what's passed on.
I like,
because there's
that's
there.
Who's that mystery guy? Who was that girl?
I think that's
victim?
who the photo is of. I think that's the photo. I don't think it's a photo of Mesmer.
Oh, that
I think
wasn't
it's a photo
Mesmer?
of the mystery guy.
Because there was a book that was opened at some point, and that was the same picture in one of the books. And it might not have been Mesmer. Maybe that was like the clue of who this mystery guy is. And then it's, I think there was a book, I think at one point that was opened, and that same picture was in there.
I'm like, the thing that's fucking with me is that Mesmer is not Japanese.
He's German.
Yeah. Austrian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But still. And I'm like, I'm fairly certain that the photo we're seeing is of a Japanese gentleman. And the guy we see in the window, when Sakuma sees through the window, pretty sure is also a Japanese gentleman. Because that whole thing is weird too. And it wasn't until my third watch that I reconsidered what might be happening in the scene where Sakuma shows Takabe the tape. I think Sakuma was supposed to show him the tape. I think that's what he's been hypnotized into doing. He's been hypnotized into showing him the way, basically.
Oh, shit. Maybe.
Because it shows that he went and visited him prior to this. And then he kills himself when the mission's done. He doesn't kill Takabe. He kills himself after. And, and he tells him, like, that's what's interesting. I don't remember, and it's like exciting for him.
Dude,
he's like,
it is kind of Joker-esque because it's like, do I seem like a man with a plan? It's like, it doesn't seem like, and it seems like he's just going from one place to the next, but it all kind of leads you to believe that this was all to pass the torch down, and like all the murders,
to Takabe.
Yeah, all the murders was just to get Takabe focused on it, and you need to bring in someone else, and then it's like, okay, I'll use this psychiatrist to hold.
Now let me branch you here. How important to this plan is Takabe's wife? She has a similar thing going on as Mamiya, a degenerative amnesia. She can't really remember things very quickly. At the beginning of the movie, when you don't really know what it means, she's the first scene of the movie. She's reading that book, Bluebeard. And after she finishes and hands the book back to the doctor, there's this vibration. It rattles the table, and she just looks down and doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything. And then she breaks concentration and talks to the doctor and says, I know how the story ends. The princess kills the king.
I never
And
really
you don't, like,
thought
at the
about-
time,
yeah,
it's...
I never really thought about his wife. Like in...
Yeah. What role does she play? Does she just destabilize him further?
Because that was his darkness, was like, yeah, it sucks that I have to take care of her, and I hate it. And it's like, I shouldn't, life just live, that's just my life. It sucks that this is how it is. And like, I feel like that was at least used to show the darker side of Takabe, maybe. But then...
Well, and it shows that he has the capability to lash out at the world. He blames society. Mamiya even goes like, oh, so it's society's fault. And he's like kind of excited by it. He's like, oh, so it's them, huh? And the whole interaction with Takabe is exciting for him. He goes, oh, you're amazing. Like multiple times. I think he says it twice in that scene where he goes, you're amazing.
Wow.
I
did love Takabe. And Koji Yakushuo, like his performance, it was like the one that did stand out, and I feel like it is the performance of the movie.
Dude, Mamiya is skin crawling.
Yeah, and I guess Masato Hagiwara?
Masato Hagiwara.
Man, I mean, just the the calm the whole time. Like it makes it so unsettling, and like
he is
he's
incredibly
so
good at it.
inhuman. Like he, even when he's at the teacher's house and like he just makes himself at home. He's on the couch, but then he just gets up, walks to the pantry, just sits in there in darkness for a little bit, spills the things, walks out, goes back to the couch and lounges even more, and then like it's just
watch this.
Yeah.
And he just flicks the lighter and the dude locks in and you're like, "Oh my god."
Like he's so good. And it's written to be that way. It's written for him to appear as like he's good at what he's doing, but like it is through his performance and his cadence and just like he's so
he is mesmerizing. He is hypnotizing.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating that you can do so much with so little, and he does. He's incredible at it. That's why, I wanted to give Koji Yakusho love because I was pretty sure Masato Hagiwara was going to also.
I feel like I'll give him. It's weird. I feel like I want to give him performance for just that different. It's a whole different vein of performance that you have to do. But I feel like his character is kind of. He is the character of the movie, or whatever is possessing him. I almost want to call it the non-character, like the void, or not
the
him.
Void. Yeah,
but...
that's kind of how I think of it. Yeah, I went with Takabe for both, simply because his descent is really, really fascinating. He slowly appears more and more disheveled throughout the movie. It even gets to the point where he can't get his clothes from the fucking dry cleaner, so he has to keep wearing the same outfit for the rest of the movie.
Wow.
It's and there's a really fascinating thing going on specifically with him and his wife that I have a tough time wrapping my head around, even after 3 viewings. I don't know how to precisely interpret it. Fairly certain he never actually takes his wife to a psych ward at the end of the movie.
Oh, okay. You don't think because that bus?
I mean, they're in the sky. It's in the clouds.
That bus is that's not a bus.
That's not a real bus. And that's the same bus he takes to the warehouse barn thing at the end.
Did he kill his wife?
Yes. There's a flash of him grabbing a knife, and then they cut to the bus.
That's right.
That is,
and
yes.
Because when he says, I'm not looking at her to Okinawa, or we're not going to wherever. I'm like, my initial, because I didn't think it was the psych ward. I thought it was I'm taking you to meet God. I'm killing you. And so, and then whenever they showed up there, I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, wait, he actually did take her there? And,
and it does this interesting thing, because I only had a thought on the first viewing, and specifically her story, I think, is anachronistic. I don't think they tell it in order of the events that happen. Specifically for her, I think that whenever it's both of them, those slow, it slowly shows him descend. But the first scene, I don't know how to interpret the whole bus in the clouds arriving at this psych ward.
Is the psych ward the same building that shows up in the visions? It looks different, right? I feel like there's a whole different courtyard. It's not even
a different
close
situation.
there.
But that's the thing, is that another interesting detail that I don't know fully how to wrap my mind around or rationalize or explain is that the only person who ever talks directly to the camera is the doctor who treats his wife. They look at each other like this, and they talk to each other like this, head on at the camera. And I don't know what that means.
When he says, you look sicker than your wife, like that?
He's looking dead ass in the camera.
That was the line I chose. That's crazy, because there was something different about it, and and he kind of took it, and he was like, he didn't want to hear it, it was news he didn't want to hear, or and whatever, but
he just kind of nods and
he's
walks
like,
away.
Whatever. He's like, whatever. I know I'm good, but
well, and then at the beginning, there's a whole weird thing about this doctor where even in the first scene, she's sitting at a table, and there's a chair sitting about 5, 6, 7 feet away from the table,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where he sits.
It seemed that she was reading, like at first, it seemed that she was reading the story to a kid who wasn't there, you know, or like that she thought someone was there. At least that's what I thought was happening. And then when the doctor sat there, I'm like, wait, what? I was like, wait, like, okay. And that psych ward is very weird, like very
The
weird.
inside is much cleaner than the outside looks. Like, the outside looks very old, and that hallway we see looks old as fuck, and then that room we see her in is pristine and white and clean, and it's bizarre. I don't know. And you know, the part where she gets lost on her way to the hospital, and you know, she's like, yeah, I got lost, and then she's like, he's like, how did you get here? She's like, I don't know, I just got here.
Okay, so it's
You know?
definitely not real. Like it's not it is a plane. I don't like.
There's something else going on.
Is there a Shutter Island angle here where it's like they're using hypnosis to treat like Takabe is in the psych ward. He's in a psych ward right now, and he thinks he's a detective, and he thinks he's going on this grand whatever, and they're trying to, you know, deal with maybe the trauma of his wife. I don't know, maybe his wife is the trauma that started his whole descent. I don't really buy into this possibility.
But that is a fun idea, because like that's where there's such an openness to the interpretation of this movie, where I can see why you would go somewhere like that. I think that there's a one of the most interesting comparisons in my head is Seven.
Ooh.
John Doe is Mamiya, Brad Pitt is Koji Yakusho.
I like that.
Gwyneth Paltrow is his wife. You know, like there is a little bit of and the Sakuma is Morgan Freeman. There's a little bit of a connection for all of them that I think just kind of makes sense. And that's more from the angle of Mamiya having a plan for Takabe before the events of this even unfold.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I don't know how much
he paid a year's rent in advance. You know, that whole thing, which I'm fairly certain is something that they touch on in Seven with the guy who's like
the Riddler. He's like it. There's so many, like, I don't know if this is inspiration or like for a lot of Riddler existed before this, but I don't know. I feel like Jordan Peele would love this movie. Like it fits just that vein.
No,
very,
I mean Kiyoshi
very
Kurosawa
well.
has become a renowned horror director. Like Martin Scorsese is of the mind that this is the best Kiyoshi Kurosawa movie there is. He thinks it's his scariest. But there is he has more like straight up horror films.
This, I feel like horror is like VFX, or like it works, but if it's all that you do, you have to do it so well that it's almost impossible, really. But in a movie like this, where it is just like a hint of horror, it's used just when it's needed. It's more of just an overarching feeling of horror, but the movie never actually goes there. There's never, the scariest scene might be in the cell whenever it just starts to get darker, and then the ceiling and the water starts to drip through. That might be the scariest visual.
Yeah.
I guess, maybe the cuts on the throats, that's pretty gory, but
it's not scary.
As far as what is scary,
it's just this creeping sense of dread throughout the whole movie, where you're like, something terrible is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Another insane fact about this movie: it cost 1 million yen to make, Japanese yen.
That's cheap, isn't it?
$12,000. This movie cost $12,000 to make.
I guess. I mean,
it's very simple. It's just locations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet they spent the bulk of that money on film. Yeah,
and just wow, that's, how did these people get paid? Did they?
Yeah, I'm like, do they?
how long did it take to shoot? Maybe it was just like a week and they're fucking done. And it's
it might not have taken long to shoot,
$12,000. I mean, does the budget involve how much the actors are paid? Is that
I'm
always
pretty sure
involved in there? Wow. Well, I hope they got paid. Wow, that is, well, I guess 12,019, whatever. So it's like maybe $30,000, So
but that's still a cheap ass movie, dude.
Like
it's the fact that they managed to pull this off on a fucking shoestring budget is incredible.
Wow,
and it makes those ominous, like, what's going on here shots even more interesting, like the water dripping through the ceiling, and I mean the bus in the clouds, like that's an interesting thing that they're pulling off.
That was cool. Even I mean, just there was a shot, I think it's Takabe just maybe walking to the psychiatrist's apartment, maybe, or I don't know where he's going, but like they go in like a stairwell. And it's shot like through the stairs, like you can see through the stairs, and he's just walking across, and like it's like
gorgeous.
Oh my god, thank you for that. And like just when someone's walking across a bridge, and they go super wide and like just show the scenery, and like even there was a crazy amount of like, well, that they didn't need to do that, but they did. Like like I said earlier, the whole first interaction between the elementary school teacher and Mamiya is one take. It plays like theater. Yeah,
it's just he moves and the camera moves with him until he sits again. And then he flicks on the lighter, and they go from the perspective of the lighter to the guy. And it's and that's incredible. Like, it's just, there's so much that this movie, it's so thoughtfully crafted, and I fucking adore it for that. Like the first crime scene, whenever Takabe shows up, and he walks into the bathroom, and they show him look around the bathroom, and then they show him walk back outside, and through the door, they shoot him next to the bed. And it's just like, it's thoughtful, small things like that. One of the things that was fascinating to me, too, is that realizing when the first guy gets hypnotized, like the very first guy, within the minutes into the movie.
I remember the death, but I don't remember the interaction he had. Yeah,
what's your shot of the movie?
In the tunnel. Yeah. Okay. What he did go back there, or freaking
Takabe is there. Takabe walked through the same tunnel, and that's when he has the idea for the hypnosis, because he watches the light flash.
But that was the light that the pipe was grabbed from, right? The murder
next
weapon.
to it. Right next to it, yes.
So
that is where that guy got hypnotized.
Oh.
He was walking through the tunnel. We see the light flash. We see him grab the pipe. And then the next scene, we watch the beginning of the process. The doctor scene, we watch it get a little further. With Takabe, we watch like this whole long thing unfold. Like, it's just slowly showing you more and more and more of what this dude does.
The one overarching one that takes the whole movie's Takabe, and it's oh my god, it is just a process for him. And like, whether these in between ones are specifically to push Takabe's forward or not, I think it's just Takabe's the most important one, but he'll still do what he does.
I think that him
else.
Struggling to solve a murder case is very, very important to his descent into madness too. Like that's crucial.
You're a detective who can't do your job.
Who can't figure it out, Like, so he might not be specifically selecting the people. It's just the place that he's in that's important,
Wow, dude. Like, what a guy. Like, what a fucked, twisted, like, not crimeless. Like, he's doing, like, he's doing something, in a court of law, he wouldn't get off scot-free, No. I don't think, but, like, it's just the inner person's most is, he's just bringing out who that person is.
Well, and that's what's interesting, too, is that philosophically, is he bringing to the surface the most evil self, or is he bringing to the surface the most true self? I'm of the mind that philosophy-wise, I would go the evil route, not true. I think the true self is the one you decide to be. You know, like that. If you have terrible urges, or you have, wonderful urges, if you're a happy person, if you're not a happy person but you choose to be happy, if you are presenting.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, it is there is a philosophical difference, but the choices you make, I'm of the mind, are your true self, and
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
whatever is buried deep within, it exists. Yeah, I don't want to act like it doesn't, but to say it's true, I don't know. Like, I like to think of it as and bringing to the surface their worst self, not their true self.
That makes more sense. Yeah. It's kind of like the dark side as well. It's just the quick and easy. It's like it's just usually through manipulation, and here it's literally through hypnosis. So it's that would make a lot more sense.
And he feeds on desires that are there. It's not like they don't exist, or like Sakuma says, you can't make, or Sakuma says, you can't make someone who thinks murder is evil commit murder. Part of the hypnosis is convincing them that this person deserves to be murdered.
A reason that they. Oh wow! They
can't murder anybody.
He's slowly getting to justifying murder. It's like like the doctor, that you hate the misogynistic way of the world, and that it sucked to get here. That sucks, and he knows that she agrees with that. And then it's like, then you'll agree that person deserves.
She's the most interesting one, because that isn't like kill this person. That's kill a man. Go kill a dude. Like with the elementary school teacher, it was go kill your wife. With the cop, it was kill your partner. With her, it was kill a man, just a dude somewhere out there.
Whoa, that's maybe it's just everyone else had a clear person to kill, and this was just his way of being like, your next male patient. I don't know who it is, but that's the one, or like or just a man. Maybe, huh?
No, like it is a fascinating fucking movie, dude.
Wow.
Like I'm riveted by it, and I'm riveted by the thought of it. I think that there's just so much to glean from it, and the most interesting and hardest to parse through stuff is with his wife. I think that's the part where I get the most lost in terms of specifically how it influences Takabe beyond the pure, just you are. I don't know.
There is beefy amounts of Reddit conversations. Like, the amount of questions or like threads that there are of just, can anyone explain this part of the movie? Can anyone explain this part? It's like,
no, and it's all up for interpretation, man. Like, and it's fascinating, because my idea of the movie is that, at least as it concerns Takabe's wife, is there a possibility, and I think it's displayed a bit with Takabe, that Mamiya has the capability of communicating with people almost telepathically. Like it's not... Because
like he's not actually talking to them, it's like just in their state, or
just
like
in their, and then like meeting on that astral level, like meeting in, he says to Takabe, everyone who wants to meet their true selves comes here eventually, and if his idea of hypnotizing people is showing them their true selves, is this where they're going when they're getting hypnotized? Is this where they show up?
I just had the thought it falls apart. That like Takabe is the real guy. No, that doesn't work. I was trying to think Mamiya might not even be real. Like that is the urge inside of like Takabe, and the like it's the physical embodiment.
I had the same thought.
Maybe. But
It kind of, that I had the same exact train of thought. I was like, is he not literal? Is he not a real person? But there's too many people that interact with him for that to be the case. Now, I mean,
unless this is all in a psych ward and Takabe
right.
is a patient, and then,
if he is an idea incarnate, if he is evil or anarchy incarnate, if he is just this encapsulation of this in a form, then everybody could probably see him, you know. But like the one I'm going back to is that, like, at the beginning of the movie, whenever the table shakes, that's like what hypnotizes a couple people in the hospital whenever
I don't remember
he's
the
like
table
slamming
shaking.
the radiator.
Yeah, so she, like, the table just vibrates, like,
It
by
vibrates,
like by like just out of nowhere, and like and she's the only one
doctor
that
doesn't acknowledge it,
but
nobody said
he's there kind of
he's
when
there.
It is vibrating, and
he turns away, he like walks away or like walks back, I can't remember, but the shot is of her sitting at the table, and he said like all right, that's enough about the book or something like that, you know. He's like, that's you know, we don't need to talk about that anymore. And she's sitting there and the table begins to shake and she just stares at it, and then it stops shaking and she returns to her conversation. And
what?
so
Yeah, what?
It is interesting to think, like, is there a possibility that it was a second here or 2 seconds here, but in some astral form he is communing with Takabe's wife and hypnotizing her in some capacity? Because that falls apart too. Like, what would he be hypnotizing her to do? What, like,
to get him to fall apart? Maybe like you. But like, what's the little? He walks home. He turns off. Like, is it just a washer machine or like some machine?
A dryer.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's just the dryer. So like he turns it off.
On.
She comes back, turns it on, and like. Or
that's
actually,
an interesting...
he just turns it off and then sits down and then throws the meat, and he's like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
Or like, you know.
Well, she turned it on, and then he got back up and turned it off. So he turns it off when he gets home.
That's right.
She turns it back on. I'm of the mind, and this was another thing that occurred to me on my last watch, is that they are opposites, Mamiya and Takabe's wife. And it shows why Takabe is more similar to Mamiya than he is his wife. He desires nothing. He desires the silence. He desires the quiet. She wants to fill the space. She wants to make noise. She wants there to be something there, and he doesn't. He wants it all gone. And it kind of like I think it furthers the idea that he aligns more with the void than he does with filling it.
Okay, and the indecision to not go on the trip. I think maybe that's like a key factor. Like her bags were packed, ready to go, and like
she's ready.
Like all those magazines of like
travel mags, yeah,
ready to go. She can't do anything all day, you know. Like I guess he said like how was work, and then she was like, oh well, I did nothing all day, you know, like I stayed home or whatever. So like, does she have a job, but she's just currently like staying home because she doesn't feel well? It seemed that this is like a long period of not feeling well, you know.
Yeah, I'm going like this is an ongoing thing, and I'm taking work to be the work. Like how
is
was
his wife
the doctor
real? Is she even real at all? Like, is it just a pure hypnosis? Like,
nobody interacts with her besides the doctor and him, which is interesting.
Does anyone even mention her? Like, does he bring her up in conversation to anybody that he's even married, or that
I'm pretty sure him and
Sakuma
talk about it. And then the guard outside of his door, you know, he's like, "Did you tell him about me?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, you know, he asked all these questions, you know, and I, you know, so
yeah." Did you tell him about? Yeah,
I guess he doesn't say, "Did you tell him about my wife?"
It's
he
just
says,
about
Did
me.
You tell him about me. So like, there, you know, there's an interesting idea there. Maybe she isn't.
I guess when is she? So she's she pops up at the very, very beginning, right? That's how the movie opens.
Yes, yes.
Is on her
with the
in the psych
doctor.
ward. Okay. And then we go to the first killer being hypnotized. Is that the first thing? Like, that's right
we never
after
see
psych
him
ward?
get hypnotized,
But
we
it's
psych
the
ward. Then
bar
we cut
being
to a
grabbed.
guy who's like walking, and then he like walks through a tunnel. Light flashes. He grabs the bar. Chick's sitting on the bed. He whacks her 3 times. He's showering, and that's how the movie opens. That's like the first 5 minutes.
And then Takabe arrives at the scene, and because
I'm like, we literally only ever see his wife with him in that room. You know what would be interesting is the parts where she's lost. That really wide shot where she's on the bridge. Is there anybody else?
I don't think so. Now that I'm thinking about it, it seemed lifeless.
Nobody.
Yeah,
you know?
it seemed lifeless completely.
Now, but however, why would she be existing outside of Takabe's imagination? Outside of Takabe's presence? Why would she have a life to go to if she wasn't real?
Does she? She's just sick. She doesn't have a job. She's staying at home doing nothing all day. The only time she pops up is whenever it's kind of needed for Takabe. Like, the bags
but
being
that
packed
part's
and
not
shown.
that part
Yeah.
specifically is what I'm talking about. It's not
like, why
needed.
is
like,
she out there?
Takabe doesn't know that. He doesn't know where she is. He doesn't know. Like, he's
Maybe just for the viewer. Maybe just like to like give a, because she is on that bridge and she goes in the middle. She's like, she looks around
panics
and then
and she
she
runs,
goes back
yeah.
down. So like,
But then we do see her walking along the sidewalk, and I feel like there might be people during that, like extras in the background. I might be tripping, but
Whoa. I mean, all of this to say, it grants a rewatch. Like, I know for sure
yeah.
I am rewatching this movie. That's without a doubt. And like, there's something to, like, it's like addicting. It is like, it's
fascinating.
It is just
It is
hypnotizing. I don't want to
hypnotizing.
say it because it's just so on the nose, but it's like,
no, yeah, it is. Like, it is a mesmerizing film, and like it's fascinating because it is so slow and it is so cold and it is so dispassionate. The film plays like Mamiya. Like that is how the movie unfolds. It plays the way that character feels, and it's still like. It's still fast somehow. It's a breeze. It's not difficult to get through. It's confounding.
On paper, it should be boring. Like,
boring
this
as
should be
shit.
just a boring movie. We do nothing. Like, we just see people. Like, it's literally like nothing really. Like, I don't like. Obviously, things happen, but like on paper, it just would seem that it's like, okay, like whatever. But then like,
this
you're in
movie
it,
was
and then it's like-
absolutely riveting.
like-
Like one of my favorite first viewings in a while. Like it's been a while since I've loved a movie this much. The first time I watched it, like outside of a theater too. You know, like I mean, like
this vein of movies, the only thing I can compare it to are Jordan Peele's movies, and they are up there for me. And like,
yeah.
like it.
I'm like, and even when it comes to Jordan Peele's movies, I don't know which one you'd particularly compare. Like Us, would Us be the best comparison?
I
for
think
this?
so. I don't like. I still put Nope. Like Nope. That's my number one. If we're like taking 4 movies, Nope, Us, and Get Out. I go Nope, Get Out, Cure, and then Us. Like they're. Its closest comparison is to Us, but I feel like it has almost as just it's well made, like enough for Get Out kind of like conversation. It's
No, and
But
I
I feel
wasn't
like
really
that's the
talking
gap.
about quality. I was talking about like literal feeling of the movie.
okay, then yes, definitely.
Us would be
I
the
feel
best
like,
comparison,
yeah.
right? Because I was like, Nope isn't it. That's too grand and too big. But, you know, Get Out, you're getting closer. But I feel like Us, it's still more on the nose horror, but the feeling it gives you and the curiosity and the mystery of it, like there is something there where you can't fully wrap your head around it.
This
And
quality wise might be like Get
I
Out
mean, like-
is kind of the more apt like
Yeah.
enjoyment, and because like Us, I love it and like I do like it, but like Get Out and Nope are on just kind of a different tier.
head and shoulders above,
And
yeah.
in this, the story kind of, it does relate closer to us, but like the enjoyment and how just overall.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, you gave your little list there. I'm going Cure, Nope, Get Out, Us. That's me.
And Nope is a hard. It doesn't really feel like like I don't know.
It's not
Nope
the same.
is
No, like it's more exciting. There is something.
Mm-hmm. I laugh in Nope, and there's like moments of like where they just chill.
It's
and
more
smoke,
a monster
like
movie. There's a kaiju thing going on. It's different, you know. It's not quite as psychological as Get Out and Us. So like, I there is a different element to it, but yeah, no, like this, this isn't comparable to Nope in the fucking slightest. But when it comes to Get Out and Us, there is a little bit more of something to go on there with the like slow realization of like, God,
that's what's going on. Yeah, like the coagulo. Whenever you learn all what's going on there.
Well, that's what's interesting is this movie doesn't even really have a moment like that.
It is just a slow unravel. Like, it is just...
You know what's going on from the moment you meet Mamiya, basically.
That's true. I guess the dynamic isn't really ever in question. It's just like, you need to learn more. You're kind of...
How is this going... Like
you're Takabe. You're like,
yes.
You need to know more. You need to know how it works. You need to...
I've never watched a movie that makes... the movie feel like a character and you, the viewer, feel like a character. And
it only gets better with time. Like,
yeah,
this is
exactly.
Like,
it's fascinating.
You would think with this much conversation, and we haven't even gone on the same theory. We've gone like many different roads.
Yeah, all over the place.
And we haven't been able to poke holes through like most of them. Like
through any of
the only one that we poked holes through was like
the Shutter Island one.
And like it's like I don't know.
If that was what it was, there probably would have been a reveal that that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why, like, ultimately, what feels so fascinating about it, again, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning, is that it is so open for interpretation, but it is still so airtight. Like, it is still so well written, and the dynamic is so clearly laid out, and the filmmaking indicates so clearly what is happening. Mm-hmm. Literally, but there is a much grander thing playing out that you can't quite articulate. And like when it comes to the ending is, you know, I watched it for the first time, and like one thing I also love about a thriller is that the runtime is used as further tension building. Mm-hmm. You know, like you're getting close to the end of the movie. So you know there's something going on here, you know?
Automatically tension.
Yeah, like there's but so you get to that last scene at the diner and you watch him have that interaction with the waitress and you're like, this doesn't feel like a last scene of the movie, you know? Like this doesn't feel like the end, but it's the end of the movie. There's not going to be much more than this. But when she walks over and grabs that knife and like the focal pull, one of my favorite shots in the movie when it is just on, it's on his profile. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting there, and he's kind of like, he's got like a vague smugness to him. He's almost got a smile on. He's not really smiling, but he's kind of, there's like, there's an air about him that's different. And that's, I got to give credit again to Koji Yakusho here for being able to embody a whole different vibe without really talking in that last scene. But the camera's on his left side, and the background's blurred, and it slowly pulls away from him, and the focus goes to the waitress walking around, and her boss comes up and says something to her. She walks away. The boss walks this way. She picks up a knife, and she walks back towards this way. There is a version of the film, not a version that's available, but they shot that murder. They did shoot her killing her boss.
Oh, okay. So that is the intention.
That is
then.
who she is going to kill.
Okay.
I didn't know that until after I watched the movie, of course.
Because that was part of my question. Is like, is Takabe like about to die? Like that was my first thought, at least, and because it's kind of what I wanted. Like I feel like that would make the ending happy again. Is like the evil would still die, you know? So like maybe that's just where I went, but like it doesn't really make.
Well, and that's the thing is that if
really
Takabe is getting killed, he's not the evil, you know, like the evil's been unleashed and he's the only enemy of it, you know? And that's like and that's what's interesting is that the idea that, and his power is clearly beyond what Mamiya's even was. He doesn't ask any questions. He just sits there. He smokes. It's like he's radiating it. It's like he's just like
it just
interacting
happens.
with him will do that.
Does he stay being a detective, or does he just...
Yeah, how long
It doesn't
after...
feel like he's forgetting everything, or it doesn't feel like he's taking the exact play that maybe he's
that's
doing
what's
it
interesting
through a
is
different
that
angle. Yeah, maybe he...
There is a... Like I said, credit to Koji Yakusho again, because he feels like a whole other fucking person in that interaction. He's smoking and he's fervently eating. He gets on the phone. He's like, pull the car around. It's like, what's this guy been up to? Is this a whole other fucking, like, how long has it been since he killed Mamiya? And that's what's interesting is he's much more cleaned up. He's wearing a new outfit. His hair is neat. He's not disheveled like he was before. There's a fascinating gap that happens between him killing Mamiya and what happens here. And what happens here, the like literal gap in the movie, is a flash to a nurse at the psych ward, her turning around, looking behind her, nothing's there. Her turning around again, and she sees I'm assuming his wife, with the X cut into her throat.
Dude, I'm trying to piece it together here. Like, my first thought is that the boss that touched the waitress's arm or shoulder, I thought that was Takabe's wife. I thought that was like, I'm like, wait. I was like, what? And I'm like, wait. I was thinking about that, and then I'm thinking, like, is she going to kill Takabe? So a lot of things were, like, going on. But I'm looking at it now. I don't know. It could be. The hair, it kind of looks similar to the look. I'm trying to see. I need to pull up, like, the wife now and see when she's in the psych ward, maybe. But kind of looks similar. Like, strange.
I don't want you to look at something you don't want to. Something that is unclear is the last woman they show with an X in her throat. I'm pretty sure that's his wife.
Okay. Well then, so she is real. Like, if they're... Yeah, and then he goes back on the bus in the sky. I'm trying to find whenever they do show his wife.
Like with the X in her throat, as I'm thinking?
Yeah.
It's after he kills Mamiya and before he's in the restaurant.
Okay, so it'd be...
It's like a 30-second gap there.
Man, yeah. I mean, the player's just being really slow and taking its time. But, okay, he's killing Mamiya now.
And he lets him have it there, huh?
That's true. He makes sure he's dead,
He shoots him in the head like 5 times.
Bang, 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 bang. And if this is an astral... If it's not even a real place, are they even really... Like, did he really die? Is this just the metaphorical death so that Takabe goes on thinking he's gone but Miyami, what is that building? I feel like there's something that we should be able to figure out where this building makes sense. Like, the room...
I'm like, the first time they show this building is when Sakuma sees it. He's like in his... What? And it's a fascinating scene. He is talking to Takabe about, the tape and everything. And he, like, goes and he sits in the corner and he just stares off into the distance, and then he sees these things. He sees him going into Mamiya's apartment. He sees him seeing the dead monkey. He sees him go into Mamiya's cell, and he sees the dead monkey there, by the way, in Mamiya's cell. Then he looks in the corner, and it's Takabe coming at him.
Oh, fuck, the monkey. Oh, wait, shit. The live version and then the one that's all... I didn't I was just thinking of the live one. I didn't think of the weird fucking one that's tied up in all the X
Yeah.
and like. Okay, so we see when that building was. That's just the creepy unknown dude's base of operations. I feel like then, and then it's all just kind of started from there, and
Right.
I guess a monkey's involved. Some voodoo. It feel yeah okay. They're
Animal magnetism. There's that's the title of the paper written by Mamiya. Yeah.
Oh. And there were other animals there. It wasn't just a monkey that were like there were, but that's the only dead animal that we see is the monkey on the bath and shower or
Right. And is there a chance that that monkey is kind of like maybe that's not real because that's kind of what triggers the first time Takabe sees things. He sees that and then he gets in his car and he sees flashes of the monkey, his wife, all that stuff. And then during that sequence, I think it's kind of the forewarning to Sakuma that Takabe is the next up. Because after his vision, Takabe goes, Sakuma, what, in your opinion, what is he? And he says, he's a missionary. And he's here to propagate the ceremony.
That's right. He's like
He knows what. I take his word there as Bond. I'm pretty sure that is exactly what Mamiya is. He is a missionary here to propagate the ceremony that will put this essence into the most dangerous person possible. And I think that vision shows Sakuma that person is Takabe. So he can't like articulate specifically. Like he has to be a little vague about it.
I'm looking at the end, like the his wife like at the end of that weird tunnel, and there's that nurse that's walking down there.
She looks back, doesn't see anything, looks back again, and it's there.
But it's on like a cart. It's on like a
yeah,
and it's moving,
and she can hear it rolling when she can't see it.
So
I'm like, I don't know.
So maybe she's like, maybe she isn't, maybe she is like a ghost, or maybe like she is only in that realm and she's being used as like an animal attraction, like monkey and all these, literal animals, but human, we are animals as well. Maybe it takes I don't know, we see her alive in that psych ward, but that psych ward isn't ever real or whatever. And I mean, yeah, it's unclear of who that body is. Like they're super dead, like old dead. I don't know. It looks like
Well, like, and then is there something to the idea that I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
His wife being lost. That is very. When does she get lost?
That's pretty like close to halfway through the movie.
Okay. She meets him. She meets him in public near water.
Whenever
I'll do the shopping. Okay.
Yeah, she left the house and he couldn't find her, and he panicked and ran out. Found her. She said she went to go buy toothbrushes because what if they stayed at a hotel that didn't have toothbrushes?
Dude,
and he was like, okay, I'll do the
no
shopping.
one around. Like, they're there's cars driving in the background of just Takabe, but then now his wife is there. They're on the top of some staircase. No one. I mean, it's just the staircase, just everything.
When she gets lost on the way to the doctor's is before that. It's probably not too far before that. I think that's like she went to the doctor and then that's what happened that night that she got lost.
Okay. Yeah, is it before the... Okay, no. Oh, she's at the psych ward there, so it would be
a little bit before
that. Yeah, so she does show up in Say, I did get here randomly. Man, is it this early? No, yeah, it's at. I don't know. I see their interaction where he poured her some beer or something, and she
It's
cooked
after
or
that.
something. Yeah, it's. And then that's him.
Was that part of the movie reel? No,
Did we even see? You know, are we coming up with something that wasn't there? Yeah, the wife is upon rewatch. She will be what I will focus on the most. I think that's for sure. Yeah, Mr. Bluebeard. Do you remember it? And that guy, that doctor in the psych ward, does talk directly to
the camera,
which is that's
well,
weird.
and not to mention that every interior in the entire movie is dingy and dirty and ugly, and that is pristine white. And I had an idea, like, what if this is like the afterlife? He's heralded her in. She can't remember her life before. Basically, you know, like, is that the idea? I don't know, but like, why would they be doing this here?
Wait a minute. The girl in the video, in the first video, it's blurry, but like, is this possibly the mysterious man's wife who he hypnotized and fucked up, like it used as a test subject or something? Like this was the first person to be hypnotized, and maybe her soul has just, I don't know, is like...
It's about 35 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
That she gets lost on the bridge. There's a lot of cars, and there is somebody at the base of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, 35 and a half minutes in. But then it cuts to her on the sidewalk, and there's notably nobody on the sidewalk and nobody near her.
I feel like they're trying to make it seem as desolate as they can, but also this, you know, $12,000 budget, they can't shut down a road. And so, like, maybe those cars just, it's the best they got, and whatever. But, yeah, like... Is it just her memory? Is that her sickness that she's just forgetting where she's going and she doesn't know where she's going?
She does have amnesia, so there is that. But like, I'm curious if
when is that explained? Like, is it just?
No, they never actually explain that she has amnesia. Like, you just kind of pick up on it because of the actions she conducts throughout the movie.
But maybe like if she's not real in the first place and like it's. Those memories don't exist. You know, like she isn't actually... Like, if she is real, it makes much more sense that she does have amnesia and like, you know, whatever. But like, if she is a complete conjuring, then I don't know, maybe there isn't anything to remember because she's not... She feels like she is the out if Takabe wants an out. Leave. Go on the trip. It's ready to go. It's like this is the saving grace. Like your sick wife, and you're not focusing on your sick wife. You know, it's like everything is screaming to like leave the situation. You can't handle it. You're getting mad just being in the same room with him. You're not fit for this. We need a psychiatrist. But he's obsessed. He's focused. That's his life. It's what he has to do. But if he went on that trip and gone, you know. How is the torch passed? You know, maybe it's all part of the a person who is good would make that decision to go on that trip,
right,
and be gone, so the torch isn't passed. But since he was so obsessed and kept on going, like, then there you go. Like it's like he just kept failing, kind of like Green Knight kind of esque. You know, it's like you had all these steps along the way. You know, where it is clear. You know what's happening. You know these people are being hypnotized. You know that you're at stake and your wife. Like, you saw an elementary school teacher be hypnotized and kill his wife, and there was nothing wrong with them before at all. And there is tension in their marriage already. So it's like, there's
an interesting little tidbit about the idea for this movie when Kiyoshi Kurosawa concocted the idea for this movie. It was inspired by him watching the news and hearing all the stereotypical things about a man who murdered his wife from their neighbor. like they seemed so nice, and they never had any problems, and they never argued, and they did all this. And the idea was like, well, he was like, what if they hadn't and he was made to? Like, what if there was something? So like that was kind of what stirred the idea for a cure, which is super fascinating.
The devil, it's just
you
got to explain it somehow. Since if it is unexplainable, it's got to just be like
the devil made him do it.
It's like,
that was my line of the movie, is whenever he, like, in reference to the elementary school teacher, Sakuma asked Takabe, he goes, did the devil make him do it? Like, is that the idea here? I love that. And like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, if
like, yes, the devil did make him do it.
This,
like that is.
This is like, I don't know how to say this without offending people, but like this is kind of just the most humanized devil. Like I feel like this makes sense to be like the devil. Like he's not doing anything wrong innately himself. He's only getting others to like do it for
terrible
him. But
shit. Yeah,
at the very the root cause. So like definitely
the essence
still at fault.
of the devil.
Yeah,
but, like,
and but it, I don't know. What a movie. Like, it's crazy that I still have so many more thoughts and so many more like questions, but then they will never be answered. I know it will still be up in the air, and that's the kind of the magic of this, is that it is one explanation is just as justified as others. I feel like there's some that you can poke holes through, but like there's
I can't blame anybody for thinking anything about this movie. Like, it is, I'm confident in my interpretation, but I would understand if anybody was confident in their interpretation, like, and that's what's fascinating about it. And I think that's what makes it so exciting, and what made it so riveting for me, is that I could watch it 3 times and still not feel like I have concrete, this is what this means. I have my ideas, but they're my ideas, like, they're not, and I love that. I love that about this movie. So Kiyoshi Kurosawa, gonna be a director whose works I parse through, I should say. Excited for him. I've heard Pulse is really, really good. That's probably gonna be my next stop.
Is this okay? Maybe not. The poster, it seemed that maybe I was thinking of something of someone crawling through a TV, but I don't. I think that might be something else.
No, that is The Ring, if I recall correctly.
Okay, haven't seen that, but in Pulse, Koji Yakusho was in there as a ship captain, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, Koji Yakusho and him are pretty frequent collaborators. Yeah. If I recall correctly.
I like that combo, a director and actor combo. Just it feels right. They get each other, and man, awesome last name, for Hollywood. Crazy that there is no relation, but you got the juice. I think it is in your blood somewhere. Maybe, or in his blood somewhere. I felt I was talking directly to him at that moment. It felt a little weird, but it's great. Like, I had zero expectations of what this movie really even. I didn't even know existed until you told me about it last week. Very, very glad that I don't know. It reignited my horror, my love for horror, and just this specific kind of horror.
This skin crawling. Oh God!
Like an Insidious or like a Conjuring. Those are just to me. Like, they're okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
This
is where this is the sweet spot. Because damned, this movie, like, I finished it at 1:30, like I said, and like the movie ended, and I was like, "Fuck, I have to pee." I was like, "God damn it, I have to go outside my room."
Shit.
Exactly.
Oh no. Yeah. I'll forever see flashing lights in the distance, or just things that'll be like, "Am I being hit?" I don't want to be hypnotized right now.
Dude, the shot whenever I told you, when Sakuma walks into the room and it's just sitting with him, it's sitting with Takabe, and the Parasite-esque, the black pillar in the background is just sitting there, and then the light flicks on, and there's the X on the wall. Bro, just skin crawling, hair tingling, everything is up. I'm like,
silent horror,
yes,
like things
dude.
that
because that's not a jump scare, but
it's slow
it makes me go,
like,
oh,
you're like, something's
oh,
about to
no.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I love it.
I wish I could have some adrenaline through me during. Maybe I just need a Batman and have those little shots and just that'd be a little too much, I feel like. But yeah, just get like
You'd probably have a pretty adverse reaction to that if I had to guess so myself.
I don't know. Yeah, that probably isn't a good idea. But I don't even know where one would get adrenaline in the first. Is that even possible? Like,
I don't know.
Straight up adrenaline? I don't know. But yeah, no. At least it got me to feel those feelings. I definitely was. Not buzz. I don't know. It would be interesting to feel like that buzz.
I was.
But my heart was still racing.
Felt it.
That's
a good sign. That's a good sign.
But,
I fucking loved it, and it was an instant all-timer for me, and I'm very happy that I ended up just taking a shot at it, just being like, fuck it, we'll watch Cure next week.
Yeah.
Do we think there's anything? I mean, there's plenty more to say, but is there more we're going to say? I don't think I have much else.
Yeah, no, I think we're theorizing upon this point. I think as far as what the movie is, I think we gave it enough credit and everything, but one to warrant a rediscussion at some point. I don't know, just like a
reevaluation of some sort,
just for our own personal sakes. I feel like, I think I don't know. I don't think I have any more crazy, wild theories right now or anything that's
I don't think
so
I
different.
do either.
But yeah.
I don't think I do either. All right. Well, then, with that, we will go ahead and do the plugs. If you want to stick around after the plugs, and I advise you do, we will rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, both enjoyment and critical, and I'm very excited for that, as it will do quite well for me. Very, very high on my rating. We will do our albums of the week. Me and Joe both pick an album every week, and we present it as what we've been listening to lately. It's a fun time. And then after that, Joseph will announce next week's cinema surprise, and I am so ready to find out what that is. I cannot wait. So with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content, along with something we're doing called the Penny Bloom Dispatch, which is available for free. You can get the Penny Bloom Dispatch for free, but for $1.50, you can get access to all that came before it. That's $1.50 a month at at patreon.com/pennybbloompod. And we'll be honored to have you over there. You can head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod. You can follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. You can leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening. And if you are listening on Cinema Surprise, I advise that you go and listen over on Penny Bloom Podcast. You might find that we have tons more movies than the 6 that are available just here on Cinema Surprise. We've covered nearly 200 films. Maybe even over 200 films at this point. So tons and tons and tons of movies beyond the 6 so far here on Cinema Surprise. It was fun to shake things up, have this little avenue for us. But yeah, tons of stuff on the Penny Bloom Podcast. Check it out. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and download episodes. Show us to one person if you fucked with it. And if you didn't fuck with it and you think someone might fuck with it, show it to one person. I'd appreciate that greatly. Let's rate this thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment-wise, I am at a 10, and it was one of those ones I didn't have a doubt about. I'm interested to hear where you were at.
Is this weird? Is that when I came in, I mean, I knew I was like 9.5 is the floor. So, I mean, I'm there.
You're riding high.
But the weird thing is that I'm like 9.75 felt right, and it felt like that was my gut. But I kind of convinced myself through talking to it, like through talking more through it, that it might be a 10. No,
I like it even more after talking about it.
And I usually 10 is like, it, like when you watch it. And like I'm not saying that I had no 10 feelings while I was watching this. I'm already up there, 9.5, 9.6. Like this horror, this is my kind of movie. This is the horror that I think is perfect. So like,
right.
I think I might have convinced myself to give it that bump. And
No, I mean, like, because here's the I don't think we've ever discussed a movie where I felt that way. I had a similar thing. I was I didn't think of it in the context of the 1 to 10 scale after my first viewing. I just knew I fucking loved it. Then the next day came around, and I needed to watch it again. And then I watched it again, and then I was like, I think I want to watch it again. And that's, so, like, framing it like that, it wasn't like I knew I loved the movie, but I didn't know how much I loved the movie until I sat with it, you know? And that's what was interesting about it, is that it just keeps getting better the more you think about it. So, this would be the rare example where I think if you feel like it grew to a 10 upon thinking about it, I think that's right. Like, because I'm there.
I'm there. Yeah, I think like I'm in the first watch range, and talking about it at this length I already knew I was going to watch it again, but now I'm in the boat of I need to watch this again, and I don't want to feel like I'm being hypnotized, but fuck it. I'm okay with it right now.
No, yeah, I've decided I need to stop for now.
That might be a good idea.
I'll return to it eventually, but I think 3 times in a day and a half, I did it. You know, I did it justice. I got it down. Now I'm gonna let it breathe for a while.
Yeah. Maybe the fourth is the activation. You know, and if you do it,
let's just say I've been cured. You know, that's how I feel.
And not to say that it is infecting me, you know, but now I see how the mindset of the cure and like how they think that way, and I know
I get it.
It makes sense. I don't know.
I can get where I don't feel that way, but I get what they're like. I like the I usually don't come away from these movies liking the philosophy of them. I usually think that's grim, that's dark. I like a little hope. I like bright. But this pulled it off so effectively that I was like, I fucking loved that. And that's so rare. And like, that's what really struck me, is that, I mean, we've talked about it. I don't like like, whenever we talk about like, even just Star Wars stuff, like, I don't like Imperial stories. I don't like stories about the Empire. I don't like the stories about the characters that are in the Empire. It's dull to me because it's not hopeful. This is grim as shit. And I'm like, this is one of my favorite movies I've ever watched. You know, like, one of the most grim movies I've ever watched, to be honest.
There's not really any positives.
There is nothing you come out the other side of this movie going, you know, at least it went that way. You know?
Yeah, no. I Nope. It is purely
like the one thing that would have been that ended up unleashing a power unknown, you know, like you're usually like in those moments whenever you're like, just shoot this motherfucker, you know, like he does it and you're like, yay, you did it, you did the thing you were supposed to do, and then like actually it was not the thing you were supposed to do, now you're the evil. So like that's so fucking cool. So yeah, easy 10 for me. And I'm super happy to know that it's a 10 for you, and I don't have to use a sumai, because I was going to.
Not needed. Not needed here. This one.
All right.
Like Babylon was a 9.5, and I'm north of Babylon. Yeah. Casablanca. That's I gave Tron a 10. I know I'm at a 10, Tron. But Casablanca and this, yes, the only two that I can. Yeah,
they are there. They are there. Yeah, so, and quality wise, I can't quite go Casablanca. You know.
Yeah, no.
But
$12,000. The low budget, that's like, that gives it a big boost. Like the fact that it was done still this well with that low of a budget, and like it is. Now that I think about it, it is just shooting people. Like very simple shots, but
beautifully lit,
very well,
gorgeously lit.
Yeah, and I think. Let's see. I guess. Babylon, we gave an 8.5.
I think the story here,
it's
warrants
tighter.
At least the half point bump.
It's it just works so much more. Like 9.5 or half point bump. You said okay.
I mean, I meant at least. I was at 9.5. Like that is where I was coming into this. I'm so like
that's just 2.5 below Casablanca.
And I think there's, I think it is that good. I think it is that good of a movie. I think that it is that tightly written. It is that well performed. It is that well shot. Anything, like, the one thing that I'd be like, well, this isn't typically what I like from a movie, is the score, but the score is perfect for the movie. You know,
yeah,
like
everything is to make you uncomfortable.
That,
everything, like
warbling, like, and it's beautiful for the movie. And so, like, I'm there. 9.5 is where I am rating for my critical.
I think I'm trying to like, because this is high praise, and I'm trying to find things that I can say bad about it. But like the writing, which I think is the most important thing for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I mean, so creative, the way it is, the slow unravel over time, and you get more details through every single hypnosis, but then it's Takabe's long overarching one the whole time. Like, it is from a thought of like, all these murders around town are really crazy. I wonder what is the motive? And it's like, I'll make this movie. What? Like, I mean, okay, this is why we need people to make movies.
Yeah.
So I mean,
art. This is like perfect art house horror thriller, because this is the first movie we've discussed so far, maybe ever, that I'd be comfortable defining as art house. You know, like it feels like, and shoestring budgets kind of help with that. You know, like when it does get to a point where it's costing a lot, it's a studio film. It's no longer, you know. I can't really think of one off the top of my head that I would define as that. And that's that's a testament to how good this movie is, man.
I like it. I like putting it just below Casablanca because, like,
yeah, Casablanca's that good though, man.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I don't think putting on the same level as Casablanca that
putting anything on the same level as Casablanca feels wrong. But like,
well, I don't think we'll have to,
some stuff is there.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have to mess with any numbers here. I think we can just agree here.
All right,
and that shakes it out to a 97, 96.666. Creepy. You know, we got a 666 in there. But 97 if you want to round it to 2 and make it seem that it's all okay. But warranted.
There's something brimming under the surface there at that 97%, you know?
That's right.
I like it.
It kind of worked out like 7 did.
Yes.
Or no, it didn't work out that way.
We made it.
We put 7 in the number.
Yeah. No,
okay.
yeah. No, but damn, I did not know that's what we were getting into. I am so glad that I took that it makes me want for my next one to take more shots at stuff that I've heard, like, because all I'd heard about this was that it was fucking good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know anything about it, and it's making me want to visit ones that I've just heard great things about. So, you know, I guess I'll announce what my next one is next week. But do you want to do album of the week first, or would you like to announce first?
Either or. I guess it is. I was going to go with one that I haven't seen. That it felt right, and this leads me to maybe want to do that again too in the future. But this one, I don't know. I wanted to return to one that I have seen and that I know that I like. So I guess I'll talk about it. I'll go ahead and give it. But you asked, you know, I'll ask a lot of questions. You know, is it pre-2020s? Is it old? You know, what is it? And it is pre-2020s, but not by much. It's 2016, so we're in the newer vein. And just a director that I wanted to get more under my belt. I watched this very, very recently, Denis Villeneuve, and it's his Arrival. And another one that I will premise. It's kind of like a Tron a little bit. The quality in here, I think, it's very, very good. But like, it is more of like the concept. Like, this is just a cool story, like a very cool story, and it was a movie that I could not believe it took me that long to get to when I finally saw it. I think you'll be like, okay, another Joe movie. But this one I feel like it's could like more than Tron.
No,
this one is
I've heard fantastic things about Arrival, so I am very, very excited that this is actually, like, this is one of those movies that has always been on my watch list, has always been right there, and I've just never committed to it. So I'm glad you are making me commit to it. I actually had a conversation about it with someone on Twitter a couple months back where they were like, if you haven't watched Arrival, you should fucking watch Arrival. And I was like, I will. I just don't know when. So now I do. Like, I will watch it this week.
I'd say it's kind of... I've seen Dune, and Dune Part 2, and Sicario. Like, I've seen what this man can do. It is way closer to the Dune. Like, it's not Dune. It is not. But, like, it's not Sicario. It isn't like a movie that you'll watch and be like, okay. Like...
No, I've heard brilliant things about Arrival, so I'm very excited. I cannot wait for that. Man, so next week on Cinema Surprise, we're coming at you with Denis Villeneuve's Arrival.
And an internal rule, this was my last sci-fi that I will pick. That was, since Tron and Arrival, since I'm doing it twice, I am done. I'm done with sci-fi.
This is the first time we've returned to a genre, I feel like. However, probably not the most comparable
Not in the
movies,
same way.
You know,
not in the same way.
Like, sci-fi is a broad genre. You know, Planet of the Apes is sci-fi. So, like, it's a big one. So I feel comfortable revisiting the genre when it's not exactly the same type of movie.
Okay.
But beautiful. So Arrival next Friday here on Cinema Surprise, and on our flagship show, Penny Bloom Podcast, we will be continuing Fire and Bloom. Our House of the Dragon rewatch reaches the halfway mark as well, with Season 2, Episode 5 next week. So Season 2, Episode 5 for House of the Dragon, Fire and Bloom on the flagship Penny Bloom Pod. And over here, you can expect Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. And I'm so very excited for that. But with that, let's do an album of the week. Top it off. A little music here. What were you going with here?
No relation for the movie on this album. Nothing screamed to me, I guess, music-wise. But so I went the different route. And mainly a single song that I've known for quite some time, but I wanted to hear the greater album of it. And this song, funny enough, it comes from Guitar Hero. I think Guitar Hero 3 on the Wii. The song is Cliffs of Dover, and it was my favorite Guitar Hero song ever. It's by Eric Johnson, and the album is Avia Musicom, AHVIA, Avia, and then Musicom. I don't know what it's trying to get at. Different.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
dope.
French. I don't know. It's not a language I really. But it's just a lot of guitar, not a lot of singing. Most, like, Cliffs of Dover is purely guitar. There is not a single word, but there's some songs in the album and it was a nice change of pace. One I just kind of put on the back, and some are just pure guitar, and it's a nice vibe. The dude knows how to play. Eric Johnson. That's the Cliffs of Dover. I haven't heard of them outside of that. It's purely Guitar Hero, and it's just been a song that I knew how to play this song with my eyes closed on Guitar Hero.
Right.
And the only one I ever got to that point on. And so it's just been a song I've loved since the Wii came out. So quite some time.
That's a long one. That's a long relationship. I love that. I love that. You know, you went heavy guitar. I'm going heavy piano, and I'm going with one I own, which is always exciting. I've had it on display before. This is Scenery by Ryofuki, Ryofuki. And it's just a jazz piano, basically, but there's a little bit more going on there. And the only connection to the movie is that he is a Japanese gentleman.
There you go. So I
wasn't really trying for that, but that is what I've been listening to this week. And I've been listening to it. It's been steady rotation. It was one of those ones that was kind of like, let's finally throw this one in here. Let's finally sprinkle this in, because I absolutely adore it. So a lot of beautiful songs. Autumn Leaves, gorgeous, gorgeous track. I'd strongly recommend that. I think it's Early Summer, I think is what one of the titles of a song.
Early Summer. There's
Also
Autumn
very,
Leaves
very
as well.
good.
There,
Yes. The whole thing is good. It's only 6 songs, but it's like 40 minutes. It's a long one.
I like that. I like those out. Yes, just play.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that'll be nice.
Let it go. Yeah, it's beautiful. So we got Eric Johnson and Ryofuki this week. Avia Musicom, and Scenery. And with that, we will conclude this episode on Cure. Like I said, come back next week on Cinema Surprise for Denis Villeneuve's Arrival, Joseph's fourth pick. You only got two more after this. You only get two more after this. That's crazy.
I know.
We're flying through this.
I feel like if that made sense. If I was going to double dip in any genre, I feel like sci-fi
it was probably going to be
does make sense.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense. I get it. But yep, come back next week for Arrival. And with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And who are you?